Hello, it is Tuesday, April 26th, 2011. My name is John Balicki. This is my website, and I am going to demonstrate my browser benchmark. Before I get into that directly, I would like to demonstrate the basics of the editor, which is what my site uses. And as you can see, this is a what you see is what you get editor. You can basically change the entire way the site looks without having to know any computer code. And you can basically customize everything on here. So I just want to demonstrate this real quick. And yeah, so we're going to reset this. So let's go to the benchmark page here. And the goal here with the editor is that all these color palettes here, which is what the benchmark is going to go through, has event listeners attached to them. So when the benchmark actually runs, it'll go through all these color palettes here. Now, this basically, these advanced controls will let you mouse over, or if you use the tab key, you can tab through everything. So if your browser does not run the benchmark correctly, then you can at least emulate what it would look like and see how closely it is to potentially running the benchmark correctly. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this first. And by the way, if you click on an already open tab in this prompt, it will actually open up the page directly, so you could send the URL directly to someone via IM or email, an example. So let's go ahead and run this benchmark. We are in Firefox 3.6. Let me just demonstrate this real quick. There we go. Gecko 1.9.2, Firefox 3.6. Let's run this. And by the way, this will disable the CSS3 option to make sure that this is as an objective test as possible. And if there's anything that isn't as objective as it could be, feel free to contact me. As you can see, Firefox 3.6 is applying all the color palettes, which is the correct way. Other browsers will execute this faster, however, they will not actually apply the color palettes, so the background colors will not change. So this test is not about speed, it is about accuracy. And the fewer number of seconds, the better, only if these color palettes have only been actually applied. So I'm going to demonstrate this in a few more browsers here. This is Opera 11.1, which as of the end of April 2011 is the latest stable version of Opera to be released. I'm going to go ahead and run the benchmark here. And as you see here, there are CSS3 box shadow here. And so, like the animations, when I open and close this, if I actually manually apply these, you can see that it has to animate through. So what I've done is the benchmark will actually disable the CSS3 option if it is detected as being enabled. So let's go ahead and run the benchmark, and it will disable some of the settings. It's not going to run the test as accurately as Firefox. However, this is the second most accurate browser in regards to its rendering engine and JavaScript performance to actually accurately execute the event listeners attached to each color palette item. So this is basically in between other browsers and Firefox. So this is, while it ultimately does fail the benchmark, it shows promise and is definitely respectable. Opera is a very respectable browser. So I'm hoping that in future versions of Opera we will see the performance, the accuracy aspect of the test improve. Here we have Safari 5.0. Let's go ahead and run the benchmark. And as you can see, it is not selecting any of the selectors. So we have no visual. Now, when the test is run in a browser, it is actually doing things in the background. So, and this generally sends timeout just before completing. So 22.9 seconds. So hopefully newer versions of Safari will run the benchmark successfully. Here we have Chrome 10, latest version of Chrome. Chrome shares the same rendering engine, WebKit, as it does with Safari. I'm not sure about the JavaScript engine offhand. In 31 seconds. Here we have Internet Explorer 8.0. I'm running Windows XP, so Internet Explorer 9.0 is not available. I'm not going to run the benchmark on this, and I could tell you right now offhand that Internet Explorer 9.0 and Internet Explorer 10.0 Preview 1 do not successfully apply any color palettes. So I wanted to at least give Internet Explorer the justice of showing everyone that when you manually hold the Tab key down, it will actually apply the color palettes. However, when you run the benchmark, it will skip all the color palettes as far as applying the colors, which is a little bit odd, but that is how the software is written. So let's move on to the next browser. The last browser I'm going to benchmark is Mozilla Suite 1.6, which was released in 2004. As you can see, it accurately runs the test. So while newer versions of other browsers and even Firefox 4 will fail to render this test, Mozilla Suite from years ago successfully runs this test. And there is a point I want to stress, that there are different things that can be stress tested, where one browser will outperform another, and then you'll have a different test where the results are completely different. Because browsers are very, very complicated, and there are a lot of things that can be tested. And giving focus and applying event listeners is only one of numerous things that can be tested. And so I want to thank you all for your time, for watching, and hopefully my benchmark will, in its own way, hopefully better some of the browsers, or maybe even all of the browsers out there in its own context, and that we may all benefit from it. Thank you very much for your time, and have a wonderful day.